You know, every year, millions of us bring an evergreen tree into our homes, we decorate it, we gather around it. It's just this cherished symbol of the holidays. But what if I told you the origin story of this tradition is way more dramatic than you could ever imagine? We're talking a clash of gods, a sacred oak, and one very defiant axe. Let's get into the legend.
I know. It's a strange question, isn't it? A monk's axe in your Christmas tree? But the answer, well, it takes us back over 1,000 years and shows us how one of our most beloved traditions was actually born from this incredible moment of conflict and a reported miracle.
All right, so our story really begins with a showdown, a big one. On one side, you've got this new faith, Christianity, that's spreading all across Europe. And on the other, you have these ancient beliefs, rooted in the very soil of the land. And this wasn't just some friendly debate. This was a direct challenge between two entire worlds.
Okay, let's set the scene. We're dialing the clock all the way back to the 8th century, to a region that's now Hesse, Germany. Our main character here is a man named Bonafice. He's an English monk, and he's got a very clear mission: bring Christianity to the Germanic tribes, who at the time held some very, very deep-rooted pagan beliefs.
And this really shows you just how different these two worlds were. I mean, Bonafice is preaching about one god, symbolized by the cross, but the local tribes, they're worshiping a whole pantheon of gods, and their big guy is Thor, the god of thunder. Their central place of worship wasn't a church. It was a gigantic sacred oak tree where they performed sacrifices. We're talking two completely opposite worldviews about to collide.
So let's zoom in on the heart of this conflict, the tree itself. Now, this wasn't just any old oak tree in the forest. For the worshippers of Thor, this thing was the center of their spiritual world. It was a symbol of immense power, of reverence, of everything they believed in.
This tree, they called it Thor's oak. It was ancient, enormous. It was literally their connection between the people and their thunder god. But it was also a place of ritual sacrifice. And, according to the legend, these rituals sometimes included human lives. And this was the practice Bonafice felt he had to confront head-on.
And that brings us to the climax of the story. Bonafice decides that to break the belief, he has to break its most powerful symbol. So he shows up, axe in hand, ready for a direct public confrontation right in front of all of Thor's followers. Can you just imagine the scene? Bonafice and his friends interrupt a ritual happening at the oak, and then he makes this incredibly bold declaration, pitting the symbol of his faith, the cross, directly against the symbol of Thor, his hammer. The challenge was thrown down. There was absolutely no turning back.
So what happened next is the absolute core of the legend. Bonafice swings the axe. He strikes the tree. But just as he does, this mighty wind, described as totally supernatural, just rips through the forest. It catches that giant oak, and in an instant, the sacred tree is thrown to the ground.
But wait, here's a crucial detail from the legend that you just can't miss. The oak didn't just fall over. No, it shattered. It broke perfectly into 4 equal pieces, as if it was cleaved by some divine hand. For everyone watching, this was a powerful, powerful sign.
For the onlookers, right? The people who'd gathered to defend their sacred tree, well, the message was crystal clear. Their god of thunder didn't strike Bonafice down with lightning. He did nothing. Instead, their holy tree was just destroyed. And in that moment, from the Christian perspective of the legend, Thor was shown to have absolutely no power at all.
So, with the old, powerful symbol lying in pieces on the forest floor, Bonafice seized the opportunity. He knew this was the pivotal moment for a symbolic shift. Right out of the destruction of the old faith, a new symbol of life was about to be born. And there it was, standing totally unharmed. Right there in the shadow of the shattered oak was a small, young fir tree. The contrast couldn't have been more dramatic. The mighty fallen giant and this small, resilient evergreen pointing right up to the sky.
Bonafice just seized the moment. He declared this little fir to be their new holy tree. He called it the tree of the Christ child. He explained that, unlike the oak, it's evergreen, a symbol of everlasting life in Christ. And its triangular shape, well, that points directly toward heaven, toward God.
It's just an incredible story, right? But what's maybe even more incredible is how this single event in a German forest in the 8th century is directly linked to a tradition that billions of people celebrate today. Let's trace that connection.
This is it. This is the moment. This dramatic clash, this confrontation, destruction, and rebirth, is widely credited as the spiritual beginning of the Christmas tree. The whole tradition of bringing an evergreen into the home around Christmas time is said to trace its roots right back to Bonafice and that little fir tree.
So if we boil it all down, this story is really about a profound symbolic shift. The axe wasn't just a tool for chopping wood, it was a symbol of the power to challenge old beliefs. The fall of the oak signaled the end of one era of authority, and the rise of the little evergreen fir marked the beginning of a new one, becoming this lasting symbol for a new faith.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? The next time you see a Christmas tree, you might see a little more than just lights and ornaments. You might see the echo of a fallen oak, a determined monk, and the birth of a brand new tradition. It makes you wonder, how many other things that we just take for granted have an origin story that is just as surprising?